I like listening to these old ladies. They teach me a little something. Why Women Hate Men is the title of this one.
If you type in the word misogyny into the YouTube search bar, her video is the first to pop up with almost 5 million views. And it's videos like this that make me really, really sad because it's a great example of how buying into the ideology of modern day feminism continues to breed misandry, the hatred and contempt toward men.
Low key, if I see somebody writing the word misogyny in the comment section, I just want to block them. I just think that word is just such an overused, stupid, meaningless word because like misogyny. So the way you frame things kind of dictates the way people receive it. And I'm not the sensitive type. I don't really give a damn. So let's say you have a term like single mom. Now, after the red pill and the manosphere has kind of been around for a little while, the term single mom is kind of it's like a derogatory term. People use it in a very derogatory way. But if you were to say fatherless home, then fatherless home has more of like a softer tone to it. And it's like, oh yeah, your daughters should have a father. Your sons should have a father. They need to have a father in the house to help raise them. And if you were to even like reframe it on the opposite side, like deadbeat dad that never reaches out and talks to his kids, then the feminist types are gonna be like, hell yeah, this is fucking good shit, and they're gonna go off on that sort of a tangent. So depending on how you frame these, any of these phrases, that can really change, the whole outlook on the situation. But misogyny is something that people just use when it's like, I don't like the way you worded that, therefore it's misogynistic. Okay. And you don't hear dudes running around talking about misandry just because it's like, kind of sound like a sissy. Like if you're a dude and you're like looking at women and you're like, you guys are misandristic, it makes you sound like a sissy. I don't think any guy wants to sound like a sissy. But I will say that misandry is pretty wild. In this day and age, it does go around quite a bit.
It is something that is embedded in our culture. It's become acceptable and even glorified. You can see it in movies like the Barbie movie that just came out. You can see it in television shows. You can see it in news articles and obviously influencers across social media. And I want us to know as women that there's another option and there's another perspective in 2023 in the Western world to see that we are not oppressed and held back by men, and why continuing to believe that is hurting us. It's holding us back in life, and it's preventing us from having healthy relationships with men. So we're going to look into the why of misandry in our culture, and I want to give you the same option.
Big facts. But one thing I will say, there are a lot of dudes out there that have this like they've just drilled it in their head that women are the problem. The system is the problem, not women. And a lot of women use the system to their advantage for sure, and that sucks. But at the end of the day, it's the system that's the problem. If most people will take the path of least resistance, and if the system allows women to kind of get their way in situations, then of course, a lot of them are going to take it, but that speaks on those particular women's character. But it doesn't mean that they're all bad. I think a lot of men out there do kind of allow these, especially when they go down rabbit holes in the manosphere, they kind of allow these ideas to prevent them from, having good relationships with women. So it goes both ways, but it's cool that this lady's covering it, the misandry question. Most people don't get into that. Good stuff.
And that I received to see things in a different light so that you can thrive and be the best version of yourself, so that you can evolve into a real woman who is happy and believes in herself and realizes that there's nothing and no one holding you back. And I want us to realize that as long as we continue to buy into modern day feminism and believe that men are our oppressor and men are our enemy, that it's impossible to have a healthy, loving marriage or relationship with a man. So, first, let's take a look at this short clip from this online influencer. The purpose of showing this clip is really, it's clear to me the amount of misandry and hatred that she has in talking about misogyny in our culture. I want to see if you see it too. And then that will be our jumping off point to talk about misandry, why it's so rampant, and what to do about it.
Okay, these are some things that are super misogynistic that you probably have never even realized before. And it needs to stop. When guys only respect women that they find attractive. The fact that being called too girly is an insult, but if a guy is too manly, it's praised. You should really smile more. The fact that I literally can't go out alone.
Low key, she's basically just saying all the same shit that the incels say. I mean, and most incels are actually pretty friendly and cool, but like they're not even, that extreme, to be honest with you. But, some of the more extreme incels kind of like they want women to be attracted to them. And when they're not, they kind of blame the women for not being attracted to them. It's just this weird dichotomy. I don't know. But this girl's kind of the same way. She's kind of like an incel. She's got the mindset of a female incel, but she's, for the most part, pretty hot and can probably hook up with just about any guy that she wants, but has a crappy attitude. So that's probably preventing her from getting the real Giga Chad that she wants.
When it's nighttime. Also, I'm not hating on men or blaming men or anything. I'm literally just stating the facts, and it's pathetic.
Yikes. It's clear to me. Is it clear to you? The hatred that she has in herself as she's talking about this. And it's not just her. Like I said, this is glorified and we see it all over the place. This is just a really good example of it. And so what I really want us to understand and why I want to talk about this, why it relates to being a happy wife, is I had a dumb moment when I realized that being a feminist and buying into feminist ideology, that I'm somehow unequal to a man in 2023. And really, when this became apparent to me, it was about 2015. So almost 10 years ago. This is the dumb moment I want us to have, ladies. Can you recognize that if consciously or unconsciously, we're breeding hatred towards men by believing that they're our oppressor and they're our enemy? Doesn't it make sense if we hate men, we can't have a healthy marriage with a man or a healthy relationship with a man? It's impossible. And so it was really, really important for me to have my cognitive dissonance broken, to recognize there was nobody holding me back. There was no glass ceiling, that there's no patriarchy.
There's actually, look, the pendulum has shifted. Let's be totally honest. And it's awesome that she's saying this stuff. Like I, for the most part, agree with everything, but the pendulum has swung so far. It's not that women are being held back. They're being propped up and everybody knows it. Men are actually being held back in a lot of situations. Good luck to me if I want a scholarship. Good freaking luck. No, I'm paying. I'm paying. There's going to be heavy interest rates too. There's no scholarship for a dude like me. I'll say that much. And for most women, they can get them. And there's government programs and things that women do get quite a bit of help that I don't get, and that's a fact. So not only is it that they aren't being held back, but they're slightly being propped up. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, like in and of itself, because as men, we're bigger, we're stronger. Some of us are smarter, not all of us, but we're capable of things. As men, we're capable of certain things that women aren't. So, this whole Western idea, like liberal idea of like equity and shit like that, whatever, it's happening. Not much we can do about it. And to some degree, it's like we had a natural way of providing equity before it became like before it became pushed by the government, we could say. So naturally, men would take care of their women. Okay. If somebody is out going crazy in the front yard and they're, getting violent, no man, well, some men, but most men aren't sending their fucking wife out there to fight the dude in the yard, right? As a matter of fact, they tell their wife, stay inside. You could be having a family get together, and the men will tell the women, stay inside, and the men will go out and handle the business, right? So there's always been like a not forced, but just like a socially enforced version of equity that's always taken place. The men have stepped it up to provide for the women, to make them feel equal and good about themselves and keep them safe and all of that. So that's always existed, but now the government pushes it. So that's what leads to women being perfectly comfortable being single moms and stuff. And sometimes the dude's a deadbeat. Sometimes he's abusive. Sometimes he does need to go. But a lot of times the dude is a cool dude, good dad, good husband. And she still leaves his ass because some other hot dude was whispering in her ear. So, it's for the most part, we've had some problems, we could say, with this, all of the liberal stuff that's taken place. And everybody knows that. So I would add that on to what she's saying, and she would probably disagree with some of what I just said, but she's right, but she's not going far enough. That's all I have to say.
And that as a white woman, when I realized all this in 2015 and now 2023, living in America, that I can go out and be whoever I want. I can do whatever I want, and there's no one stopping me. When I had that cognitive dissonance broken, it was a profound life-changing moment for me. It opened the doorway for me to have a healthy, loving relationship with my husband. It opened the doorway for me to stop being a victim and giving my power and control away to this ideology and holding myself back in my life. And I want you, if you are still buying into modern day feminism and that you are somehow oppressed, I'd like for you to have the same awakening that I had and see things differently so that you can set yourself free. Why do we have such misandry, the hate and contempt for men in our culture? What we need to understand is that the foundation of hatred is oppression. And continuing to buy into modern day feminism continues to make us believe that we are oppressed, which breeds hatred.
This is the same victim mindset stuff. So basically, it's like now we're reaching a point where feminism is coming around the same way, like the same way conservatives, I would say like black conservatives like Jesse Lee Peterson or the Hodge twins or Officer Tatum or Candace Owens, like the same things that they're saying. This is like the female version of that, the feminism version of that, which I think is music to the ears of conservatives, I suppose.
What I had to learn and what I had to see for myself is that I can only hate someone.
But what we need to restore is God and family. Shout out to God and family. Confidence is a lie. Victim mindset equals fetus mindset. Dang right. Did right.
If I have hatred within myself, and that's what I learned when I let go of believing in modern day feminism and I began to see things a different way, is recognizing that men were not my oppressor. I had become my oppressor by believing and buying into.
Do you think there will ever be a day when the incels will step up and the majority of the black-pilled YouTubers will step up and say, Giga Chads were not my oppressors. Stacy's were not my oppressors. I was my oppressor. Do you think there will ever be a day when that happens? It'd be kind of cool if there was.
The myth that I am oppressed. I wanted the excuse. I wanted a reason to not rise above my own limitations and go out and make a life for myself and make something of me. So I used the excuse of modern day feminism to believe that men were my enemy, which in doing so made me a victim, and I was my oppressor. So ladies, men are not your oppressor. You are your oppressor. By using something like feeling unequal to a man, or that men are your enemy, to hide in life, to play small, and to not go out and make something of yourself. And that's exactly what I had done. When we can recognize that, that's when we can change and realize that we can go out and be who we want to be and do anything we want to do. 10% of the Fortune 500 companies, their CEOs are women in male-dominated industries like engineering and tech. We have a female vice president.
Low key chat, what do you think about that? Jesse Lee Peterson had a really funny bit about female pilots. I don't know if we talked about that on this stream. I think somebody brought it up on this stream, and then I went and watched it later. But I don't know if you guys saw that, but he was talking about like a female pilot. And he's like, I guess he was in a plane, and he was like, and the pilot came out and it was a woman, and he was like, wait a minute, who flying this thing? And she's like, I am. And he's like, but you a woman. He's so old school and wholesome, but hilarious at the same time. But I don't know. You should go check out the clip, Jesse Lee Peterson, female pilot. Go watch it for yourself. I don't remember exactly what was said, but I remember it was funny. So go give it a watch.
President. We had a female in 2016 win the popular vote in the presidential election. I have a good friend who's a super on a construction site. I have a client who owns and runs a construction company and owns one of the top interior design firms in Denver. We're not oppressed anymore. And it's believing that we are oppressed that we become our own oppressors to hold ourselves back. And in that, we hate ourselves for all that we're not doing. And we project that hate onto men. And again, as long as we hate men, we can't have a healthy relationship. We can't have a healthy, loving marriage. So what's the solution? My solution was I had to realize that the experience of myself and the life I had created was because of my own choices and decisions, that nothing had happened to me. And when I could see that it was my choices and decisions that had created the experience of myself in my life, then I could do something about it. Then I was actually empowered because I could begin making different choices.
We'll leave that one be right there. Pretty good video. Pretty good stuff. I enjoyed it. I thought it was nice. It was refreshing to hear. And yes, we do have William Green Pepper in the house. William Green Pepper, the speed dating spouse of Sarah Tomato. Good stuff. The green pepper and the tomato of the vinyl community. And we've got CL Settlements in the house. Got a lot going on here. And Master Yoda said, no, black pillars and incels are not their own oppressors. They are, for the most part, men who lost out in the genetics lottery. What if the pendulum swings in the other way around and the sub 5 normies are the gigachads and the gigachads are the sub 5 normies? It just changes. You know, as technology takes over, all that matters is brain power. And these brawny brutes with the ripped abs and the big bubbly biceps, are now worthless. And men that are hung like horses are now incels that can't get laid because women would prefer a man that's much smaller and much weaker. You never know. The pendulum could shift as we switch to more of a robotic era. Dylan the Islander says, I grew up around lots of women who would say things like, it's a man's world, baby. And life is so much harder as a woman, baby. Do you think women like this struggle with dominance submission dynamics? Well, you know, I think there's a lot of women out there with daddy issues, but there's also a lot of men out there with mommy issues. And that's true. You know, any guy that's constantly, you know, complaining about women and female nature and women are, you know, this and that, they probably have mommy issues. Same thing with the women, you know, goes for both of them. Sub 5 men will never become giga chads. That's just wishful thinking. My friend, I have seen crazier things happen. You know, let's see what happens. Let's just give it a go. But since we do have Master Yoda in the house, who is a self-proclaimed true cell, and the geomaxing thing is very popular, but he doesn't agree with it. I just saw a video that popped up that might be interesting. It's only a minute long, so I want to hear what this guy has to say about true cells and geomaxing. And then I want to get your opinion on this, Mr. True Cell, Master Yoda. Let's hear what he has to say.
What's up, guys? I thought I'd do a video real quick about, I recently tried C-maxing, geomaxing, whatever you want to call it. I downloaded Tinder and I set my location to a couple different places like Cambodia, Thailand, Japan, South Korea, New Mexico, Brazil, a couple places where I heard some incels would have success, you know, where they can get matches. In 2 days, hold on a second. Excuse me. In 2 days, mind you, 2 days.
The CSS element says, I just heard a smoke alarm beep. Yeah, I don't think you can call yourself a true cell if you don't change the battery in your smoke detector. You know, you're probably at that point, you've just given up. Shave your balls, get a new battery, and get out there and put the work in. Do the work.
I had 17 matches. I know 17, some people might say that's not that much, but for me, a guy who doesn't get any matches in America, I've had Tinder months at a time with my location just set to where I'm at. I'll get a couple matches a year, well, for however long I have it downloaded. And out of all those matches, none of them would reply to me. You know, none. Zero. I haven't had any success, not even a little. But all of a sudden, in 2 days.
In today's video, I'm going to talk about my Tinder experience in Hanoi, Vietnam.
What the fuck?
So the first 24...
I don't know what the hell's going on with that shit. That video wasn't long enough. Well, fuck. Shout out to Sophie in the house. Good to have you here. I want to find another incel video. I'm into this shit.
How are y'all doing today? Hope you guys are doing good. I'm doing all right. I've been staying awake all night and sleeping all day due to my insomnia. not having the proper medication, which I haven't had in like a long time. But I'm doing all right. In today's video, I'd like to discuss why I am an incel in the first place, why I identify as one. Ever since from a young age, I've noticed how people are generally more socially and sexually successful than me.
Hang on a second. CL Settlements. I just clicked this link, and is that did you skip it to like the 6.5 minute mark on purpose, or like, do you want me to play that? Did you skip it to 6.5 minutes on purpose to start it at that point? Is there something said there that we need to watch, or is it just for some reason just started at the 6.5 mark? Oh, we'll get to that in a little while. Hold on. This guy is not a true cell. He's not a true cell? What's it take to be a true cell, man? Seems pretty, seems like an honest incel to me.
Without even trying, really. Like it just came natural to them, and that always bewildered me. Like, for example, I hear about people going to, when I was in high school, people going to parties. And I've never been to a party. I've never been invited to a party. And I never understood how people were able to know when a party was happening. And the fact that people like age fucking 15 have had sex, and some of them have high body counts, while like me, like sex was such an alien concept for me back then. And I never even had any relationships at all when I was in high school. And it always astounded me how people were able to, like, get fucking date around and get girlfriends and boyfriends, and I was just, stuck being lonely. And I complained about it a lot on my Snapchat story. I was diagnosed with autism at age 17, and just not too long ago, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. I feel like those kind of have impacted how I am with people socially. I also noticed myself that nobody would ever, give me compliments on my.
I can't bash on people that have autism or something like that. Like, I mean, I suppose people that have autism and borderline personality disorder, like he still seems functional, like high functioning, but it would be difficult. Like, obviously I don't like to even go over things like that, because a lot of dudes in the manosphere that are willing to pay for courses, like they're willing to pay a dating coach like $1,000 for advice. I think like this is the type of guy that ends up paying that money, and a lot of dating coaches just take advantage of dudes, and those dudes ain't never gonna fire back or complain about it. They'll just lose all their money, and that'll be that. So I don't really like I don't like going over shit like this in the manosphere. Makes me feel icky and sinful. Let's leave this guy alone.